In any form.
Any form.
Well, that's in any form. The Trinity of the Word is not found in the Bible. So in that, I would say no.
Then do you believe that God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit are one?
How do you define one? Because Jesus himself said, I and the Father are one. So obviously that's a biblical
Well, he
statement.
also said all his apostles were one with him.
Okay, so there you go. I mean,
So,
we have to define terms in order to understand what we're talking about
we're
first.
never going to get to a definition of terms because you already have a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And that mindset that you have is not acceptable to us. You don't want that readjusted.
It's not, no, I do want it readjusted. If I am wrong in any way, it's your duty to readjust my thinking.
To readjust the one who wants to be readjusted.
And I do want to be readjusted. To judge my desires, no man can judge the heart, right? Okay, so how can you prejudge my desires?
Or not.
Okay, well then I do. All I can say is that I do want to be readjusted. If I'm wrong in any way, please point it out.
What maybe it would be easier, if I may, you tell us, select just one doctrine that Jehovah's Witnesses adhere to based on the Bible that you disagree with. Just one. Let's don't go around.
Okay.
Well,
what makes you believe that I disagree with any doctrine?
That's why we're here, because
Okay.
we had heard this because of what you have said to your family members,
Mm-hmm.
and you have posted, we understand, on the internet.
Do you have proof of that?
No, I wouldn't
Okay.
look at those things. I have proof in the form of witnesses who said they saw it. We do. We've heard that. So
Mm-hmm.
all we're saying is,
Well, can I ask, who are these witnesses?
absolutely, Jared and Emily,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris and Jill,
Mm-hmm.
your own grandfather
Mm-hmm.
heard your words and and what you were saying.
Okay.
And they're happy to come and testify to that, but I don't think that's necessary. If we take this down to its very base point of the discussion,
Uh-huh.
we can see whether or not you want to remain as part of this organization,
Okay.
if I may.
Go ahead.
If we find one teaching that you disagree with, rather than us trying to banter on terms and words, give us one you're having difficulty accepting. And
It's not a matter of difficulty accepting. I actually affirm a teaching that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society or the God's organization should not be involved in political affairs. I believe that. Now, why did the Watchtower Bible Tract Society join the United Nations in 1992?
you've been given an explanation for that.
So
So
you know the explanation.
And what is the explanation then? How have I been given the explanation? What do you mean?
because it was,
Go ahead.
Okay.
The society wrote and explained all of that, and we don't need to get into any of these definitions of what it appeared, why it appeared that way.
Okay.
Let's stick to just a basic Bible doctrine, so we don't spend a lot of time.
Okay.
Because if you don't
Let me ask you a question then on doctrines.
before you do,
Okay.
so you understand clearly why we're here.
Sure.
If a person biblically poses a threat to the unity and the cleanliness of God's organization here on earth, we then are charged with the responsibility to investigate that, and for the sake of purity and cleanliness and to uphold holy standards, 1 Peter 1:16,
Mm-hmm.
you must be holy because I'm holy, then we will discharge that responsibility whether the person who we're speaking to or not agrees or disagrees.
Yep.
That's not for you to decide.
Okay.
So what we're saying is to get rid of all of the periphery.
Yeah.
Let's bear it down to one basic thought. Not debate in terms. Take
Mhm.
one thought, and if we can or cannot agree on it, we'll use that for the basis of our decision. How would that be?
Well, you pointed out a number of procedures on how that's to go. It's interesting. Matthew 28 says that we're also to bring this before the whole congregation. It says, that if you have a problem with your brother, go to him, and then if he doesn't seem to be responsive, he doesn't want your help, then to go to the older men, then to go to the congregation, the whole of the congregation. I'll give you an example. Since the local court was situated at the city gates, there was no question about the trial being public. Deuteronomy 16:18 through 20. No doubt the public trials helped influence the judges toward carefulness and justice, qualities that sometimes vanish in secret star chamber hearings. What about witnesses? Witnesses in Bible times were required to testify publicly. Okay, so that's the Awake, January 22nd, 1981. And as I say, Matthew 18:15 through 17 is speak to the congregation.
Are you debating with procedure here? Is that?
I'm not debating. I'm asking a question. Why exactly do we have this backroom procedure at all? Why isn't it brought before the congregation? You're explaining why we're here, and that's what I'm asking. Why is it that we're here in this locality?
We are charged to protect the congregation, and therefore you must go through us to get to the congregation.
Okay. So
That's all there is to it.
So you don't believe that it was literal when he said speak to the congregation in Matthew 18?
No.
Okay.
Not for us today. In those days, we don't know what the congregation was. I mean, we weren't there. How do we know what it was?
So the basis of changing that would go back to the organizational legitimacy. But this is God's organization, so we can change that interpretation.
Is it God's organization or not in your mind? And that's all I can ask you.
Okay, well that's my question. My question is, if this is God's organization, what is the biblical basis to show that? You mentioned faithful to great slave. Okay, how do we identify? Because Matthew Henry's commentary, which is cited extensively by the Watchtower, basically states that the faithful and discreet slave is an example for ministers, for gospel ministers, that anyone who takes it upon them that is called to be a minister in that role should be faithful and discreet in execution.
You know what? This meeting is over.
Yeah.
There's no point in discussing.
There's absolutely a point.
No.
It is your duty to readjust me.
No.
How?
Your meeting is over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, well, before it's over, let me give you something.
Sure.
Because we know his thoughts.
You know my thoughts. You're psychic.
Pardon?
How do you know my thoughts?
I was just talking to him.
I read your thoughts.
Oh, okay.
Your grandfather had them.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that you wrote.
You have alleged writings.
Pardon?
You have alleged
Well, you
writings
gave
from
them to
my
your
grandfather.
grandfather.
Well,
You gave your grandfather.
let me give you something. Would you be willing to accept my thesis, Joseph?
You know what we'll accept from you?
Okay. Is a letter?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
If you-
Here's my letter.
And what is it?
Would you like to read it?